Okay, welcome to part 2. This is beginning your postcard, and I'm showing you specifically how to use collage to fill in specific areas or specific shapes. So what I have here is I began to sketch out my design on my postcard. I'm using the entire front, and this is going to be my background design. I also prepared 2 different papers, and notice they're not just boring papers like this. I picked some texture papers that have things on them that I'm going to use for my flag design. I'm doing the Maryland flag, so these parts that say Y are going to be yellow, and it's going to be this paper, and this design down here, part of it's going to be the red of the flag is going to be down here. So the materials that you're going to need to make this transfer of collage over onto here happen are a couple of tools. Oil pastels, which is different than chalk. It feels very oily or like a very soft crayon, and it's okay to peel back part of it like this. They break very easy, so if you ever break it, I'm not going to get upset. Just pick up the pieces, because if they fall on the floor and get lost, then it's totally going to mess up your shoes if you step on it. Okay, so once you have your oil pastel, you're also going to need a few other things. You're going to need a pencil or a pen, preferably a pencil, tracing paper, which is this really thin paper. You're not going to need a whole sheet of it, just part of a sheet. I'll cut some up. You're going to need scissors and maybe an X-Acto knife. The X-Acto knife, if you need, you have to sign out with me, and then I'll sign in that you returned it when you're finished. So something like this design that's really detailed, I would use an X-Acto knife for. Big things like this, I would use scissors for. So step 1 is going to be using your tracing paper to trace over your design. And there's a very specific reason why you have to use tracing paper and can't just use your actual paper for this. But basically what I'm going to do is trace over the parts of this that I want to transfer and have specific collage shapes for. Now, if you noticed on my original, I made sure I wrote Y on it so I didn't get confused for which part I wanted to be yellow. And I'm doing all of the edges. Some people make the mistake and forget to do like these outside edges. Don't forget those. Once I get my design done, I'm going to flip over my tracing paper, and I'm going to color on the back of it really heavy with my oil pastel. I'm pressing down pretty hard to get a nice smooth finish. Okay. Then I'm going to take this and lay it right on top of my collage paper that I painted. You might want to tape it down so that it doesn't move on you. And I'm going to trace over my lines, pressing pretty hard. Okay, if I peel this up, you can see that now my design's transferred onto here. Okay, and if I flip it over and I compare it to this, I can look at this and realize like which one's which and which piece I'm going to need. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video and I'm going to cut out the pieces that I need. Okay, so I cut my pieces out. Now I don't know if you can tell, but I messed this one up a little bit and I forgot that one. So what I'm going to do is just take my collage design and look for those 2 pieces. And I'm going to try and fit it on an edge so that I have space to do my other flag. And I'm going to retrace both of those pieces. So I'm going to do this one right here. Oh, and look, it could be because there's no oil pastel right there. That could be why I got messed up. So I'm going to come back. Bring my oil pastel closer to the edge. Okay, that's a lot better. And I'm going to retrace this one. And then I'm going to retrace this one next to it. Okay. And I can cut these out. Always better for a collage piece to be too big because it's a lot easier to cut something down than rather if you like make it the wrong size or too small, then you have to retrace the whole thing. So see this part that's sticking off the top on both of those, I'll just glue it down like that, and then when I'm finished and they're dry, I'll just trim the top edge off. Oh, be careful, look what I did. I'm gonna have to make sure that gets covered up. I forgot the oil pastels on the back and it transferred so well that it went through. Okay, well, this one's gonna go right there. Okay, so now I can glue all my pieces down. Now as far as this stuff goes, like the fingerprints, that is something that if you're a really good artist, you want to hide that stuff. It's happened sometimes you have mess ups, but you don't want to turn in a final artwork with this kind of stuff showing on it. So I'm gonna have to problem solve now and think about how I'm gonna get rid of those areas that have blue on them and cover them up. Lastly, like all of these little pieces, I'm not going to throw these out. I'm either going to turn them in back up front in the bin, or you're going to get an envelope from me and you're just going to put this kind of stuff in that envelope so that in the future you can use it for anything. And you can kind of make like a little your own pile of resources that you don't have to go dig through the stuff up front all the time. Don't waste this kind of stuff. That's really important. All right, that's it for today.